I'm the canary Santiago keeps, a seductress in bed. Shamelessly indulgent and flirtatious. Off the bed, I act like the main girlfriend. Always picking fights with the woman he truly loves but can never have. To outsiders, I'm a stand-in hopelessly in love with Santiago. Doomed to be discarded one day. But the truth is, I don't love him at all. I only love his money. Using his name, I've built a thriving business and am on the verge of becoming a rising star in the corporate world. I decided to dump him first and even put on an act, pretending it was a tortured love story. Santiago, I've spent 5 years trying to make you love me. I'm tired. Let's break up. His sweat dripped onto me as he looked down with a half smile. As expected. A woman with money always changes heart. Fine, I'll bankrupt you and help you rediscover your true self. Chapter 1. Santiago got up from the bed, putting on his clothes as he said, "She's coming back to the country today. Get a welcome dinner ready at the Rose Garden. She's Melisande, the goddess Santiago loves but could never have. Boneless." I draped myself around his waist from behind, my freshly manicured fingers tracing the lines of his abs. His body tensed noticeably. Who else is coming? Just some friends from the circle. My eyes flicked craftily. I pouted, playing coy. If we're throwing a proper party, I'll need fitting jewelry. I've got my eye on a top-quality jade bangle, but it's kind of pricey, 800,000. Buy it. Delighted. I kissed him on the cheek. Santi, I love you. He was unmoved by my affection, grabbing my wrist. He said blandly, "You've made my back a mess of scratches with those long nails." I gave a sheepish smile. "They look good though." "Want me to cut them?" "Leave them. They do look good." His eyes darkened as he pulled me onto his lap and kissed me, slow and deep, filled with faux tenderness. At the Rose Garden, I greeted the guests with the brand new jade bangle on my wrist. Gone was the flirtatious, provocative woman from the bedroom. Now, I smiled with elegance and poise, putting on the air of a virtuous, proper girlfriend. Melisande's clique started gossiping loudly. "Melisande. That's her, the canary Santiago keeps. Her face really does look like Melisande's. Everyone knows she's just a stand-in. I heard she was just a no-name actress. If it weren't for Melisande, she wouldn't be where she is today." "Melisande, don't be upset. Santiago loves you." My gaze met Melisande's. She was beautiful, one of those pampered, delicate flowers that only the wealthy can raise. Rumor had it, back in high school, Melisande had saved Santiago when he was dirt poor. But Melisande had loved Alex, the heir of City A's most powerful family. She married Alex early on, and they immigrated to the US. Santiago being with me? He was just using me as a replacement for Melisande. Now, Melisande was back, divorced and returned to China. Plenty of people were waiting to watch Santiago toss his stand-in aside. I raised my glass and nodded to Melisande with a polite smile. She didn't expect that. Her face froze. She's Santiago's one and only. I'd be a fool to provoke her. I knew better. Keep a respectful distance. But Melisande's clique wouldn't let me off the hook. Suddenly, someone shoved me, hard. I crashed into the champagne tower. I lost balance, about to fall straight into a pile of shattered glass. I shielded my precious bangle and closed my eyes, resigned to the pain. But it never came. Someone grabbed my arm and yanked me up. The next second, I fell into a firm chest and caught the familiar scent of men's cologne. Melisande and her posse really pissed me off. Fine, I'll go nuclear. I instinctively wrapped my arms around the man's neck, looked straight at the extra who pushed me, and whimpered weakly, "Santi, I'm pregnant. Our baby." She almost killed our baby. The whole room froze like someone hit pause, shocked. Everyone gawked. Santiago furrowed his brows at me, eyes filled with shock, surprise, and even emotion. He looked like he was about to cry. He always wore protection, and he still believed this crap? What? Does he think I poked holes in it or something? Chapter 2. You're lying. I didn't push you. I pointed at the surveillance camera above the cannon fodder side character's head. Should I pull the footage? She looked to Melisande, silently begging for backup. Melisande avoided her gaze, choosing to stay out of it. Panic set in. "You're fine, aren't you?" I was just joking with you. Santiago let out a cold laugh, his fury barely contained. "A joke? Then I guess I'll be joking with you a lot in the future. Let's see if you can still laugh then. In City A, Santiago was a terrifying figure, ruthless, swift, and always out for revenge. Given what he just said, that girl was about to get her life torn apart. She collapsed to the ground, utterly shaken, and was dragged out by the staff like a discarded puppet. Originally, my plan was to claim the moral high ground, then snap and scare her by smashing her face toward the broken glass. I didn't expect the big boss to actually believe my lie and back me up. I was just about to confess the truth to Santiago when Melisande said, "Santiago, I want to talk to you. Let's go to the tea room." The two of them left together. He didn't even glance back at me. Was I heartbroken? Of course not. These past 5 years, between the gifts Santiago gave me, the stocks and funds I bought following his lead, and the investments I tagged along with, I've made a fortune. Just looking at the 8-digit balance in my bank account makes me the happiest, most cheerful girl in the world. With Santiago gone, I felt like a mouse that just fell into a barrel of rice. Everyone in Santiago's circle was either rich or powerful. How could I waste such a precious network? I had launched my own company, and this welcome banquet was actually my sales pitch party. All the guests, my potential clients, with a silver tongue and some charm. I raked in 3 million worth of orders during just one meal. Santiago's close friend Dominic joked, "Santiago's off in a room alone with his crush. And you're not even jealous?" "I'll get jealous later. Right now, I'm more interested in your new project. I want to invest 5 million. What if it loses money? Then I'll cry to Santi and make him pay me back." Dominic laughed out loud. Damn, Santiago really met his match with you. I had already vetted Dominic's project. It wasn't going to lose money. And let's be honest, if it weren't for Santiago, Dominic would have never even let me in on the deal. My mental calculator was working overtime. Money really is the most delightful thing on earth. Still, in front of the sugar daddy, I had to look like I loved him more than I loved money. Chapter 3. I peeked around the corner of the tea room door, ready to act jealous. Santiago saw me and waved me in. From now on, Melisande will be living at the Rose Garden. Get a room ready for her, he said. She's my honored guest. Take good care of her, meals, clothes, everything. The Rose Garden was a luxurious estate built in traditional Chinese courtyard style. For the old money elite, the ancestral home always meant status. And for Santiago, the Rose Garden was that home. He spent most of his time there. My chest suddenly tightened. No wonder she's his crush. As soon as she shows up, she gets welcomed into his sanctuary. Sigh. I'll just use his credit card later to buy myself a designer bag as comfort. I smiled gracefully, like the perfect, dutiful girlfriend. Of course. Santiago took a sip of tea, face unreadable. Go. I led Melisande to her room. She started the conversation. It's been over 10 years. Santiago's really become a big shot now. You never knew him when he was 18. He was the only poor kid in our elite high school, shabby, gloomy, totally out of place. Alex and the other trust fund brats bullied him relentlessly. One time, they beat him so badly he lost his hearing. If I hadn't paid for his treatment, he'd still be deaf. And then what? How could a deaf loser ever become the CEO Santiago is today? So she helped him once when he was broke, and now she's clinging on for free food and board? Back when he was poor, she didn't want him. Now that he's successful, she's back, trying to take him from me? We walked across a small bridge. Suddenly, Melisande shoved me into the lake. Someone help! She fell in. Then, she jumped in after me, grabbing my hair underwater. Her eyes were vicious. Tell me, do you think icy water like this is enough to make you miscarry? She pushed my head under. Horrible memories surged back. Winter, my father shoving my head into a water barrel iced over. I work all day, and you can't even cook me a hot meal? A girl doesn't need school. You're already 18, Wang's family paid the bride price. You're getting married. Melisande kept holding me down, cutting off my air. I held my breath as long as I could, then I choked on the water. Blinding rage flooded me. I struggled upward and punched her hard in the face. I barely had any strength left, but I swam to shore, gasping like a wet dog. That's when Santiago and the guests arrived. I was shivering, teeth chattering. I looked up at Santiago. He took off his coat, squatted down, and wrapped me in it tightly. I curled into his chest, already plotting my revenge on Melisande. This was our first round. I had to let her know I wasn't someone she could mess with. Santiago, save me. Melisande flailed in the water, calling for help. Santiago turned to his men. Get her out. Melisande came ashore sobbing, dripping wet and pitiful. She slipped into the water. I jumped in to save her, and when she reached the edge, she punched me in the face. That's why I nearly drowned. The bruise on her face was obvious, undeniable evidence. Her clique pounced. Luciana, you're so vicious. Our sweet Melisande risked her life to save you, and you tried to kill her in return? I clutched my stomach, looked up to the sky, and wailed in agony. Santi, our baby, it's gone. The entire crowd gasped. Just moments ago, they'd all looked at me with contempt, like I was the villain in a soap opera. Now, they turned sympathetic, glaring at Melisande and her group. Stop talking, she just lost a baby. Don't provoke her. She must have been terrified. That's why she accidentally hit Melisande. A punch is nothing. She lost a child. If you're really that kind, maybe don't keep kicking her while she's down. Santiago scooped me up in his arms and strode toward the bedroom. I wrapped my arms around his neck and shot a triumphant look at Melisande. She stood there frozen, her face twisted in bitterness and frustration. Chapter 4. In the bathroom, Santiago pinned me against the tiles. He had already figured out I was lying back when I confronted that cannon fodder girl. Let me go. Santiago, you didn't use protection. Didn't you say you wanted a baby? I'll give you one now. I turned my head toward the mirror. Santiago was kissing my neck fiercely and urgently, and on my face was a smug little smile of satisfaction. 5 years in, I still didn't know if he had any feelings for me, but one thing was clear, he definitely liked me physically. I picked up his pack of cigarettes and lit one. He looked up at me. Focus. I blew smoke in his face with a smile. Too intense. Just need a smoke to calm down. That only made him go even crazier. You made a lot of mistakes today, he said. Reflect. Tell me every single thing you did wrong. Santiago carried me to the bedroom. I tried to think. I shouldn't have lied about being pregnant. Keep going. I shouldn't have punched your crush. Santiago grabbed the back of my neck. You really have no idea what your mistake was. Huh? No matter. We have plenty of time. I buried my face in the pillow. He'd been hitting the gym hard lately. His stamina had clearly improved. I tried to escape. Santiago grabbed my ankle and dragged me back to continue. He kissed my swollen lips, wiped away my tears. You're crying so pitifully. Do you know what you did wrong now? Suddenly, a light bulb went off in my head. I shouldn't have protected the jade bangle when I fell. I smiled. I knew Santi felt sorry for me. Santiago gently ran his fingers down my spine. Now that I've let her stay here, are you jealous? Of course I am. I love you so much I could go mad with jealousy. He sat up, lit a cigarette, his tone distant and indifferent. Heh, you don't love me. You only love my money. I raised my chin, defensive but not denying it. How could you say that? I'm not that shallow. I also crave your body. I took the cigarette from his hand and finished the rest of it. Just then, the butler came in to report his crush had a fever. Get some sleep. I'll go check on her. And just like that, the man who just held me so tightly turned cold. Honestly, I felt a little hurt. Just a little. I pulled the blanket over my head and went right to sleep. Chapter 5. The next morning, I woke to find Santiago standing on the balcony, smoking a cigarette. I had no idea when he came back. There was always a deep loneliness about him. After 5 years together, he was still a mystery I couldn't quite figure out. He was rich, handsome, fit, and very skilled in bed. He treated me generously, gave me the resources to start my business, and even taught me a lot himself, hands-on. He was truly an irresistible man. Noticing I was awake, he slid open the glass door and walked in, wrapping me in his arms. His body was cold, carrying the chill of the night air. The mood was too good, and I couldn't hold back the question that had always bothered me. Am I just a stand-in for Melisande? You tell me. I don't think I am. I flattered him. Using someone as a stand-in is what sleazy lowlifes do. You, Santi, are noble and above all that. Santiago chuckled, kissed my forehead. You're not a stand-in. Then what am I to you? I lifted my chin proudly. I'm Santi's most spoiled little canary. I was joking, but he didn't laugh. He frowned. You have nothing to say about the incident in the lake? I knew all too well the danger of confronting a crush without solid evidence. If I accused her without proof, not only would he not believe me, he'd turn against me. Not for now. All the warmth vanished from Santiago's eyes. His expression made it seem like he wanted to strangle me. Of course, hurt his precious crush. And he's instantly pissed. Time to smooth things over. I tucked a lock of hair behind my ear and gave him a flirtatious, sultry smile. Santi, I'll explain everything later. Don't be mad, okay? Heh. Melisande messed with the wrong person this time. If I don't drive her out of the rose garden, I'm not even worthy of barking. Do whatever you want. Santiago turned and walked away, his coat sleeve flicking dramatically. My stomach cramped. I winced and clutched my abdomen. Still, my brain was already working on a plan to deal with Melisande. A few moments later, Santiago came back, carrying stomach medicine and a bowl of millet porridge. I'd developed stomach problems as a kid from going hungry too often. These past 5 years of luxury beside Santiago had almost cured it. I hadn't felt this pain in ages. I'd been silently enduring it. How did he even notice? Take the meds and finish the porridge. Okay. I sniffled, genuinely touched, then grabbed him by the belt. Santiago, I don't care what kind of history you have with her. My bottom line is this: you can only sleep with me. If I find out you've broken that, I'll leave you. A canary doesn't just grovel for approval. Showing dominance at the right moment makes you even more desirable. He stared at me for a long time, eyes gleaming. All right. He's in the bag. Chapter 6. Santiago had gone to the office. I caught a few non-venomous snakes and stuffed them under Melisand's bed. While she took her afternoon nap, I squatted outside her door, casually munching on sunflower seeds. Ah! Melisand's screams echoed through the rose garden. I strolled into her room. One snake was coiling tightly around her calf, flicking its tongue. Others slithered across her blanket. She was terrified, sobbing and completely losing it. Get them away! Ah! Get the snakes away! Luciana. I shouldn't have pushed you into the lake. I was wrong. Please get rid of the snakes. I took out my phone. Say that again. I need a recording. Tears and snot ran down her face, her body stiff as a board. But she repeated it. I opened the sack and swiftly grabbed the snakes one by one, tossing them back in. What's going on? Seriously, does Melisande have some kind of protagonist halo? Of all times, Santiago had to come home now? Seeing him, Melisande ran to him barefoot. She was in a silk nightgown, hair flowing behind her. It looked like something out of a romantic drama. Santiago dodged her attempt to throw herself into his arms. She missed and nearly face-planted. I subtly moved the sack behind me. Unexpectedly, those damn snakes had great teeth. They chewed through the bag and escaped. One shot out and sank its fangs into my arm. Santiago rushed over, grabbed the snake by the neck, and slammed it hard onto the floor. The snake died instantly. Housekeeper, prepare the car. This snake's not venomous. Shut up. Venomous or not, we're going to the hospital. Let the doctor check if your brain's still intact. TCH. His crush is perfectly fine. Why is he so worked up? Seriously. But I wasn't done yet. I played the recording. Santi, you heard it. She admitted it. She pushed me into the lake. Melisande reacted quickly, putting on a pitiful act. I'm terrified of snakes. She used them to threaten me. That recording, none of it's real. Enough. Santiago's face darkened. He ordered the snakes to be taken away, then grabbed my arm. This is your explanation? You've been with me for 5 years and still haven't learned to use your head? I yanked my arm free. I don't like the word with. Don't act like you're above me. Chapter 7. Suddenly, I found the whole thing kind of pointless. I'm rich now. People outside call me Bosslin. So why am I fighting over a man with another woman? If I dumped Santiago, I could afford to keep 8 male models. I fake cried, putting on my best tragic romance performance. Santiago, I've spent 5 years trying to make you love me. Now that your crush is back, I won't stand in your way anymore. I'm tired. Let's break up. Santiago's face turned terrifyingly dark. He raised his hand. I thought he was going to hit me and quickly shielded my head. But he slung me over his shoulder and stormed out of the room. Back in the bedroom, he threw me onto the bed. Hey, don't rip my dress. This is a brand new Hermes. Santiago's sweat dripped onto me as he looked down with a smirk that wasn't quite a smile. Just as I thought, a woman gets rich and suddenly loses interest. Fine. I'll bankrupt you, help you find your roots again. Now I was panicking. Break my heart. Fine. Block my money flow? Absolutely not. Santi, I was talking nonsense just now. Don't take it seriously. I knew when to bend and when to bow. I smiled sweetly, my eyes crinkling. Santi, I still love you. I can't live without you. He smiled, handsomely, but terrifyingly so. Remember this, if I won't let you go. You're not going anywhere. Luciana, you made 2 mistakes today. First, letting a snake bite you. Second, trying to break up with me. So, how should I punish you? His fingers slipped through my hair and found the long scar on the back of my head. His eyes flashed with pain, and he sighed helplessly. Forget it. I'm not the one in control here. You're the one holding all the power. This time, he was especially gentle with me. Even though he was taking care of his divorced crush, he still refused to let me go. What was really going on in his head? In a moment of passion, I bit down hard on his shoulder and reached up to wipe the sweat from his jaw. God, he was sexy. I fell asleep, tired and thoroughly satisfied. When I woke up, the snake bite had already been treated. Bored, I went to Melisand's room just to mess with her, playing the role of the evil favored concubine straight out of a palace drama. I ran into a servant delivering her meal. I glanced at the tray. What's this? She gets bird's nest too? At my level? I waved dismissively. Take it away. Melisand flared up. Luciana, do you really think you're the mistress of the rose garden? I shot a glance at the servant. The servant straightened her spine and said smugly, all expenses in the rose garden are handled by Miss Lynn. You eat what Miss Lynn tells you to eat. I grabbed a handful of Melisand's hair. If I had really been pregnant, you would have killed my child. You better sleep with one eye open tonight. There might still be a snake or 2 hiding in the corners. Fear crossed Melisand's face. Luciana, your arrogance won't last long. 2 days later, Melisand struck again, this time, revealing a secret I'd hidden for years. Chapter 8. Melisand held a party at the rose garden and invited everyone she possibly could. I was inside reading when she came to find me. President Lynn, I'm hosting a gathering here at the rose garden. You simply must show your face. Otherwise, people might think I'm the lady of the house. Sure, whatever shady scheme she was brewing didn't matter. A top saleswoman never complains about her environment. I showed up in a backless slip dress, flawless makeup in the latest trend, draped in jewels, utterly captivating. Santiago was playing mahjong with a few of his close buddies. Melisand sat beside him and peeled a grape, holding it up to his lips. Come here. Santiago ignored the grape and called out to me instead. Seeing nowhere else to sit, I plopped down right on his lap. Santi, take a break. Let me play this round. Dominic teased. We're playing for high stakes. If you lose, who's paying? Santiago leaned lazily against the back of the chair, smiling. If she wins, it's hers. If she loses, I'll cover it. I declared confidently. I'm not losing. I won the round. Leaned back with a grin. I'll split the winnings with you. Santiago's smile was indulgent. Doting. His friends couldn't help but tease. Enough. I'm full. We just got force-fed a ton of sugar. It's been 5 years and you two are still glued together. Just get married already. Marriage is boring though. I quickly shifted the topic. Come on. Let's play another round. I'm on a lucky streak. Suddenly, the room went cold. No one spoke. Right then, Melisand answered a call and looked at me with a sly smile. Let them in. Maria, daughter-in-law, wife. 3 people walked in, my father Pablo Lin, and the father-son pair from the Wong family. Melisand's clique looked thrilled with the drama. Can't believe it, Luciana's actually married. And look at her husband, he's ugly and slow-witted. They look like beggars. No wonder Luciana dumped them. Has she had a kid too? I didn't turn to look at Santiago's face. I had lied to him. I told him my parents were dead. Melisande really outdid herself this time. She somehow dug up all of them. Chapter 9. I was born in a remote mountain village. On my 18th birthday, Pablo sold me to the Wang family, father and son, for 40,000 yuan. The crippled Wang elder pinched my face like inspecting livestock. 40,000's too much. We're from the same village, give us a discount. My Maria is a pretty girl. Every bachelor in the village wanted to marry her. And she's smart, she can read. She'll give your Wang family a smart son. The old cripple was pleased and, heartlessly, paid up. Pablo took the money and barked. You stay put at the Wang house. You belong to them now. That night, the old man locked me in a room with his son, Paul. Paul stripped naked and stood in front of me with a disgusting grin. Take your pants off. That's how you make a baby. I grabbed his genitals with one hand and squeezed, hard. He screamed in pain. I said coldly, touch me again, and I'll ruin you. I won't. Just let go. It hurts. Wah. He passed out, snoring like a pig. I sat curled on the bed, hugging myself, too scared to sleep. Suddenly, the old man barged in. When he saw nothing had happened, he flew into a rage. I paid 40,000 to marry you into this house so you could give us a son. He started tearing at my clothes. My son may be slow, but I'm not. I'll stay and watch you two consummate the marriage. He saw my pale shoulder and lost all restraint. If Paul won't do it, I will. Maria, you're so pretty. Let Uncle show you some love. I smiled sweetly at him. Uncle, not here. Let's go to your room. Okay. The moment he stepped out, I smashed a flower pot over his head and knocked him out cold. I searched his room and found 2,000 yuan in cash. I had always kept my household registration booklet and ID card hidden on me. I packed some supplies and didn't look back. I walked for nearly an hour before I heard a car engine. The old man had woken up and called the villagers to chase me down. Panic surged through me. While running, I slipped and fell into a deep pit. My head hit a rock. Blood poured out instantly. I was dizzy, my limbs numb. I swear the sound came from here. Must be an animal? Pablo, your daughter ran off. Give me my 40,000 back. She even stole 2,000 yuan from me. It's all mountains out here. Where could she go? I'll bring her back for sure. I was exhausted, in pain. If I called out now and went back, at least I'd stay alive, right? But once back, I'd be violated by the Wang men, forced to breed, and work like a slave. That would be the end of me. No, I'd rather die. I covered my mouth and stayed silent, listening as their voices faded into the distance. Stranded, helpless in the wilderness, I closed my eyes in peace. Suddenly, my stomach growled. No way. I've never known happiness. I can't die like this. I bolted upright, on the brink of death, tore my clothes into strips to bind my wound, and wrapped myself in a blanket. I pulled out a steamed bun and ate it through tears. Happy birthday, baby. You're 18 now. One day, you're going to make something of yourself. Since I was little, whenever I was sad, I'd talk to myself. I always called myself baby. No more cold steamed buns on birthdays. Next year, I want braised pork. I lived in that pit for 3 days. Once I recovered some strength, I climbed out and kept walking. I left the mountains, left the small town, drifted until I reached City A. I worked as a waitress, hotel receptionist, clothing salesgirl. I even ran an online shop. Once I made enough money, I bought an apartment in a nearby city, got registered as a city resident, and changed my name. Later, I entered a talent competition and got a break as an actress. At a business dinner, I met Santiago. I made the first move, and it didn't take long to land him. But honestly, I believe even without Santiago, I would have made it big on my own. Now I'm 28, a self-made rich woman. Seeing those three again feels like a lifetime ago. Chapter 10. I stood up and calmly watched them put on their show, completely unafraid. Pablo rushed at me, but the house staff blocked him. His eyes gleamed with greedy hunger. Don't think you can cut ties with me just because you changed your name. He sat on the floor and began wailing like a professional beggar. Everyone, Listen to me. I raised her with my own blood and sweat. Now she's made it in the city, living the high life off some rich guy. And she's abandoned her poor old father, no care, no support. Melisande gave the crippled Wong man a look. He immediately started yelling, Maria, you're my daughter-in-law. All the money you made over the years is marital property, we deserve half. Dominic asked, cool and direct, do you have a marriage certificate? She was only 18 when she came to us. Too young to register. Dominic laughed. So no proof? You think this place is a village court where you can just show up and claim family ties? The crippled Wong exploded, screaming and cursing, slandering me viciously. Maria's nothing but a whore. She was selling her body in our village since she was a kid. Came to the city just to keep selling it. You rich bastards must be blind to fall for a slut like her. I started looking for a weapon. With trash like this, why argue when you can smash? I spotted a brick in the flower bed and weighed it in my hand. Perfect. Bang! Before I could move, Santiago, who had been silent the whole time, charged forward and punched Wong in the face. I had never seen Santiago like this before. His entire presence radiated fury. His eyes cold and murderous. He grabbed Wong by the collar and pummeled him. Blow after blow. Blood spraying everywhere. Ack! Stop! Young master. Have mercy. Help! He's going to kill me. Everyone stood frozen, stunned by Santiago's rage. With a violent kick, Santiago sent the old man flying. Wong clutched his stomach and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Then Santiago walked over to Pablo, grabbed him by the hair, and slammed his head into the marble floor. Bang, bang, bang. Blood gushed from Pablo's head. You dare hit me? I'm your father-in-law. Santiago's voice was ice. You've got the wrong person. She's not Maria. Her name is Luciana Lin, President Lin. A woman celebrated across City A. She's the kind of woman you'll never even get close to in your entire pathetic life. He smashed his fist into Pablo's face again. 2 of his front teeth flew out. Pablo screamed in pain, crying out, Miss Melisande, you're the one who brought us here. He's going to kill me, please. Help me. Melisande's eyes filled with tears. She bit her lip, unwilling to give up. Santiago, you can check. It's all true. She's greedy, vain, a liar. I don't understand. What does she have that I don't? Did you forget? I was the one who saved you all those years ago. Without me paying for your surgery, you'd still be deaf. Without me standing up to Alex, you wouldn't have survived high school. Santiago ignored Melisande and turned his cold gaze toward Paul. Paul was so scared he literally peed himself. She's not my wife. Don't hit me. Please. Don't hit me. Santiago didn't even bother to raise a hand against a fool. With a flick of his fingers, he ordered his men to drag the 3 of them out. Then he lit a cigarette and smiled calmly. Everyone. The party's over. Time to wrap it up. What happened today? Just some local thugs causing trouble. I hope you'll all be discreet and not spread rumors. Of course. Of course. One by one, the guests filed out. Santiago turned to me and held out his hand, his voice gentle. Come here. Heh. Melisande's little scheme had failed miserably. Not only did Santiago not blame me for lying to him, he protected me without hesitation. And me? I'm the type to take advantage of the situation without shame. I dropped the brick and rushed over, wrapping my arms tightly around Santiago's waist. I made my voice soft, pitiful, like a helpless little thing. Santi. I'm scared. Melisande ground her teeth to dust on the sidelines. Santiago kissed the top of my head. Don't be afraid. You have me now. I won't let them hurt you again. He must have known about my background all along. Of course, if Melisande could dig up my past, then Santiago definitely could too. He was always so cautious. Most likely, he had me fully investigated the moment we first met. Chapter 11. That night, I burned like fire. Santiago ran his hand along my back, lips brushing mine, his breath scorching. Learned that from watching videos? I love to study. His expression darkened, dangerous. This kind of thing should be taught by me. Santiago stood 187 centimeters tall, broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs. Physically, we were worlds apart. If we were animals, he'd be a lion, and I'd be a little fox. He could easily wrap me fully in his embrace. Staring into each other's eyes, Santiago suddenly said, "I've been waiting." Waiting for what? For you to open your heart to me, to trust me, rely on me, fall in love with me. I froze. That came with a different price tag. He cupped my face. His once cold eyes now overflowed with warmth and tenderness. Because I've already done all that. It's only fair you give me the same. The big boss just confessed. Santi, why did you jump genres? We were in toxic romance with tension and you dragged us straight into the pure love section. He didn't laugh. His expression stayed serious. I scratched my cheek, fumbling. Well, then you'll have to wait 50 years. If you still love me by then, maybe I'll love you back. Santiago smiled. Okay. It became our forever promise. I turned away from him, facing the wall, but the smile on my face was so wide it could barely be contained. Chapter 12. A dark, damp basement. Pablo sliced potatoes while hot water bubbled in the pot. He cursed under his breath. City A is way too damn expensive. Even this dump costs 150 yuan a day. That bitch Melisande won't answer her phone. She's done with us. The crippled Wang sighed. What can we do? Your daughter's got money, power, and a man protecting her. We can't even get close. We came all the way to City A. Didn't get a damn thing. And even got our asses kicked. I'm not going home empty-handed. Pablo spat on the ground. I've got gambling debts up to my neck. I'm not leaving without something. At that moment, Santiago entered the basement. The three men shivered the moment they saw him. Santiago's assistant placed a leather suitcase on the bed. When it opened, it revealed stacks upon stacks of 100 yuan bills. Pablo and Wang both swallowed hard, eyes glinting with greed. There's 600,000 yuan here. Consider it compensation for your medical expenses. You'll get nothing more. Take the money and get out. After Santiago left, Wang picked up 2 stacks of cash and inhaled deeply. Me and Paul take 400,000. Why? It's medical money. Paul wasn't even touched. He doesn't get a cent. Pablo lunged to snatch the money. Wang shoved him. His face twisted with rage. I'm more badly hurt. I take the bigger share. Pablo's eyes reddened. 600,000. He'd never see that kind of money again in his life. Then he spotted the kitchen knife on the table. He wanted all the money for himself. He lunged forward, grabbed the knife, and slashed Wang across the neck. Wang collapsed, dead on the spot. Pablo turned to Paul, intent on killing him next. But Paul grabbed a pot of boiling water and threw it at Pablo. Pablo screamed, dropping the knife, writhing in pain. In the next second, Paul, now hysterical, picked up the kitchen knife and hacked Pablo to death. Back in the car, Santiago heard the sound of police sirens in the distance. He told the driver calmly, "Drive." Chapter 13. When I learned that Pablo and the crippled Wang had killed each other over the 600,000 yuan, and that Paul had been taken away by the police, I didn't feel much of anything. They died because of their own greed. No one else to blame. I went to Santiago's office to have lunch with him. As I stepped into his office, he signaled to me that he was in the middle of a video conference with his American colleagues. I slipped quietly under his spacious desk. Santiago was mid-sentence when he suddenly froze. "Boss, is something wrong?" one of the colleagues asked. The corners of Santiago's lips lifted. "Nothing. Go on." After the meeting ended, I pouted. "Next time, you have to return the favor." Gladly. My face turned crimson. I'm the type to flirt openly. He's quiet, but dangerous. We were about to head out for lunch when Santiago got a call. "Sorry," he said. "There's an emergency in Hong Kong. I have to fly out immediately. Go, make lots of money, to support me." He chuckled and kissed my forehead. "Of course, your spending habits are what keep me motivated." That's what I love most about him. He never complains about how much I spend, he just earns more. That afternoon, I had a client meeting. When I entered the conference room, I saw Alex. My expression turned cold instantly. I turned on my heel to leave. Suddenly, the projector started playing a video. On the screen was a teenage boy, 18-year-old Santiago. He was already tall, but painfully thin, the kind of kid who looked like a straight-A student. Alex led a gang of rich boys, bullying him mercilessly. They cut off his hair, stuffed it into a cup of water, and forced him to drink it. They stripped off his shirt, then shot at him with BB guns. The steel pellets left bruises all over his skin. Alex grinned like a maniac. "Hey, genius. Look at the camera. Let's see if I can hit you in the eye with the next shot." I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. My heart ached like someone had stabbed it. These monsters. Young Santiago lifted his head, though he was clearly looking into the camera. It felt like he was staring straight through time at me. His eyes were full of courage. Defiance, bright as stars. Alex lounged in the executive chair, voice arrogant and full of pride. No matter what we did, he wasn't scared. That pissed me off, so I had to go after the one person he cared about the most. He played another video. The man on screen was Santiago's grandfather. Every year, I accompany Santiago to his grandfather's grave. Chapter 14. Santiago had grown up relying solely on his grandfather. The old man supported him by collecting and selling scrap. In the video, Alex and his gang had tampered with the electric tricycle Santiago's grandfather used. After selling the day's recyclables, the old man rode the trike home. Suddenly, the engine caught fire, but he didn't notice. Alex sat in his luxury car nearby, laughing. "Hey, old man, your ride's on fire, ha 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 ha." Grandpa immediately stopped the trike and lifted the seat, trying to retrieve the money hidden underneath. But the fire had already spread. The cash had long turned to ash. He stood there in panic, hands scorched and raw, covered in blood and blisters. He mumbled anxiously, "Heartbroken. What do I do? I'd been saving that money. I was going to buy Santi a pair of sneakers." He was coughing hard, his health had never been good. The look on his face tore at my heart. Alex shrugged. "Poor people treat money like it's more important than their lives. The old guy got sick after that and died not long after." Then, Alex played a third video. This one showed Santiago after his grandfather's funeral. Returning home, Alex and the others were already there, waiting for him. They played the second video in front of him. "If he hadn't wanted so badly to buy you those shoes, your grandpa wouldn't have gotten himself killed. So really, it's your fault he died." Santiago stared at the screen, trembling all over. Tears streamed down his face like rain. Then, suddenly, he snapped. He lunged at Alex and bit into his ear. "Ayaha!" Santiago's mouth was full of blood. He spat out half of Alex's ear. Alex howled in pain. "Why are you all just standing there? Get him!" The group of boys began beating Santiago, punches and kicks flying. Even the one holding the camcorder set it down on the table and joined in. Alex snatched a baseball bat from one of his lackeys and slammed it down on Santiago's head. Santiago collapsed in a pool of blood, his ear bleeding heavily. Alex, in a panic over his own injury, turned to leave. Before going, he shouted, "Keep hitting him, as long as he doesn't die. Beat him to a pulp, I'll take the fall." The third video finally ended. It felt like I'd just sat through a long, horrifying horror movie. Chapter 15. Alex had had his ear reconstructed. Now, you could barely tell it had ever been bitten off. "These are precious recordings," he said. "They capture the beautiful memories of our youth. I often watch them for nostalgia, and I just couldn't help but share them with you." He was a psychopath. Alex looked hollowed out by years of drinking and debauchery. There was something rotten clinging to him, like decay. Who would have thought? The boy I used to crush under my heel would one day become my greatest enemy? Over the years, Santiago had been ruthlessly stealing business from Alex Coup. Piece by piece, he'd orchestrated moves that led to Coup Group's assets plummeting and its stock price crashing. Once the untouchable crown prince of City A, Alex was now a paper tiger, a drowning rat. He stood on the brink of bankruptcy. Santiago was sweeping the battlefield, gathering evidence to send him to jail, to sit behind a sewing machine for years to come. I wiped away my tears, raising my chin with pride. "What do you want from me? Melisande and I are still legally married. Get her out of the rose garden. Help me. And you help yourself too. You don't want her sticking around, Santiago, do you?" I narrowed my eyes and calmly analyzed. "You've been married for years. Does she have something on you? Something fatal?" Alex's expression instantly changed. Bingo. He opened a jewelry box. Inside was a deep green jade bangle, imperial jade, the kind passed down through generations. "This is an heirloom, worth over 10 million. Bring Melisande to me." And it's yours. Wow, you must be really broke if you're willing to give up your family treasure just to bribe me. Then I changed my expression. I grabbed the ashtray on the table and charged at him like a demon. Alex's first instinct was to shield the jade bangle with his body. Just as I thought, even if I brought Melisande to him, he'd never actually give me the jade. Crack. I slammed the ashtray into his head. Blood gushed instantly. Ha 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 ha. I laughed maniacally, face twisted and savage. Alex stared at me in terror. Stop. But I didn't. 10 million? That's not enough. If you want me to betray Santiago, it'll cost you 10 billion. Wham, wham, wham. I brought the ashtray down again and again. Blood soaked the ashtray. My hands, the floor. Ugh, gross. Alex passed out cold, still clutching the jewelry box like a miser in his grave. Ha. He once said poor people value money more than life. Now the karma had come back to bite him. There were no cameras in the meeting room. I ripped my dress, smeared my lipstick, and cried as I called the police. Help, someone tried to assault me. I hit him with an ashtray to get away. Chapter 16. In the end, it was my word against Alex's, and we settled the matter privately. Santiago flew back overnight. When he stepped into the house, the cold wind clung to him like armor. I was curled up in a beanbag chair, blushing furiously, watching something adult. God, this was so embarrassing. Santiago gripped my shoulders, scanning me from head to toe. Are you hurt? I'm fine. That bastard Alex got the worst end of it. He pulled me tightly into his arms. His heartbeat was racing. Quietly, I reached for the remote and shut off the very explicit film. The shameful soundtrack finally came to an end. I tilted my head to look up at him. When I met Santiago, he was already a legend, powerful, commanding, seemingly unshakable. But now, the image of his teenage self, wounded and pitiful, wouldn't leave my mind. It made my heart ache, made me want to protect him. Why are you looking at me like I'm some abandoned puppy? What did Alex show you? He showed me the videos from high school of them bullying you. His eyes were red at the corners. His body trembled slightly, and yet he smiled. So, you pity me? I hurt for you, but more than that, I admire you, Santiago. You're really, truly amazing. I stroked his back, trying to soothe the wounds buried in his soul. Almost at the same time, we said, if only I could have protected you when you were 18. I stared at him, stunned. He looked at me and said, you're amazing too, baby. Santiago and we were each other's salvation. I leaned in to kiss him, but he suddenly stood up and marched toward the door. I was left kissing air, face planted into the beanbag. Hey, 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 we finally had a moment. Where are you going? I mumbled under my breath. That adult film totally lit a fire. You know, Chapter 17. I chased after him. In the middle of the night, Santiago had gone straight to Melisande. I'm out of patience. Hand over the evidence against Alex. Melisande looked nervous. The evidence, it's with someone close to me. I haven't been able to reach her. Then move out of the rose garden. Fear flashed across her face. Santiago, if I leave, Alex will imprison me. He'll beat me to death. You promised to protect me. Why are you going back on your word? She shot me a sharp glare. I folded my arms and gave her a fake smile. She hissed. It's because of her, isn't it? Santiago, you're just like Alex. You've changed. If I hadn't paid for your surgery back then, Santiago cut her off. First, I'm grateful to you, but I never loved you. You were never the unattainable crush people imagined. Second, even if I had stayed deaf, I still would have clawed my way to the top. Because I had to destroy Alex. Third, whatever debt I owed you, it evaporated the moment you pushed her into that lake. Have I made myself clear? Melisande collapsed into the chair like a broken doll, tears streaming down her face. The evidence is in a safety deposit box. The password is. Santiago had what he needed. He turned to leave. He paused when he passed me. I smiled. Go finish your revenge. Santiago held the back of my neck and kissed me, long, deep, intense. Only after a long moment did he let me go and walk out. Millicent buried her face in her hands and sobbed uncontrollably. When we were 18, Alex loved me like his life depended on it. When that car came speeding at us, he didn't even hesitate, he threw himself in front of me. But after we got married, he cheated again and again. He once dragged me in front of a mirror mid-argument and told me I was old, ugly, used up. I came back to City A with leverage, thinking Santiago and I could get back together. But in the end, I was left with nothing. I married the wrong man. I'm 34 now. My life is over. Says who? I leaned lazily against the wall and said, as long as you're still breathing, your life's not over. You want money? Go earn it. You want fine dining? Go eat it. You want hot men? Go sleep with them. Life is stupidly easy. Millicent lifted her head, stunned. Then, suddenly, she laughed. Now I finally get it. Why someone like Santiago would fall for someone like you. She wiped her tears and held out her hand. I'm sorry for everything before. Let's start over. I'm Millicent, ready to start a brand new life. I slapped her hand away with a smirk. TCH, like I want to know you. She huffed. TCH, ungrateful brat. TCH, pretentious. Manipulative queen of fake pity. TCH, overdramatic. Top-tier green tea. Pft, 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 pft. I wasn't a saint. I wasn't going to forgive her. And I still hated her. But the evidence she held was enough to bury Alex, for good, in both the US and China. That's why he had chased her all the way back to City A. On the day Alex was imprisoned, Millicent left the Rose Garden. Chapter 18. I woke up early and found a deep green imperial jade bangle, worth over 10 million, resting on my wrist. I knew it had been auctioned off by the court, but I never expected the buyer to be Santiago. He was getting dressed. Boneless. I wrapped myself around him from behind, grinning so wide it nearly split my face. Santi, it's way too expensive. High ice jade is too ordinary. Imperial green suits you better. Delighted. I planted a kiss on his cheek. Santi, I love you. He looked at me for a long time. The little fox, once guarded and wary, had finally shown her soft belly to the lion who raised her. She was rolling on the ground, wagging her tail, asking to be petted. Santiago saw through my heart and smiled brightly before kissing me deeply. Back then, everyone laughed at me, but I turned out to be the one who proved them all wrong. Now in City A, everyone knew. The canary Santiago once kept had soared. The company I founded had grown big and strong. I, once a nameless C-list actress, had flipped my fate and risen to become a rising star in the business world. At Santiago's birthday banquet, one of his close friends asked, Santiago, you two have been together for years. Have you never thought about making it official? Santiago chuckled. It's not that I won't give her a title. She's the one who won't give me one. She's rich, gorgeous, and charming. Men line up just to be her side piece. Do you guys even know how hard I work to stay fit just to keep up? Dominic tugged at the corner of his mouth. Santiago, you're the most humble CEO I've ever met. I burst out laughing. Everyone turned to look at me. I gazed at Santiago and walked toward him, holding a ring I had pre-ordered 6 months in advance for a proposal. I wasn't afraid of marrying the wrong person, because I knew he was the right one. All the bad luck in my life? I used it up when I was born, ever since my 18th birthday. Every single day has been my lucky day. Story 2. In my past life, Justin was diagnosed with cancer, but everyone hid it from me. To set me free, he began cheating on me and subjected me to verbal humiliation and emotional coldness. Unable to bear it any longer, I finally agreed to the divorce. His friends, however, stood on their moral high ground and revealed to me his selfless intentions and the truth about his illness. Devastated, I chose to end my life in despair, but after my death, Justin survived. I watched him weep uncontrollably at my gravestone. Then, at his friend's encouragement, he picked himself back up and married the person he had cheated on me with. When the timeline reset to that fateful day at the gathering, Justin joked, "Let's get a divorce." I didn't get angry. Instead, I calmly said, "All right." Chapter 01. After I finished speaking, the room was suddenly engulfed in an eerie silence. In the spacious, luxurious private room. I continued to lower my head and calmly eat the bird's nest soup in my bowl, as if nothing had happened. Justin's hand, which had been holding Nicole's, slowly let go. The handsome face that had just moments ago joked about falling for someone else and wanting a divorce began to stiffen and turn grim. It was as if he hadn't expected me to respond this way. Or rather, he had always known how deeply I loved him. So even if it was just a playful remark, he thought I would take it seriously, get upset, and start making a scene. How could I possibly remain so calm and say all right to something like that? Around us, the so-called friends who all had their own agendas exchanged uneasy glances. In an instant, the plan they had concocted to watch me lose my temper, cry, and embarrass myself, shattered. The plot had taken a sharp 90-degree turn, leaving them caught off guard. But I didn't feel happy about it. I swept my gaze calmly over the faces of everyone in front of me. Finally, my eyes landed on Nicole's strikingly beautiful face. In my previous life, I had considered her my best friend, but I had forgotten. She and Justin had grown up together, childhood friends. The more she appeared to have my back, the more loyal and righteous she seemed. The deeper and more painful the knife she plunged into my back when it truly mattered. Nicole's expression grew slightly uneasy under my gaze. She subconsciously glanced at Justin, who was glaring at me with a darkened expression, his jaw clenched and his teeth grinding. For a fleeting moment, her eyes dimmed. Then, just as quickly, she replaced it with a bright, cheerful smile and walked over to pull me aside. "Oh, don't be mad. Don't be mad. It was just Lucas and his stupid idea. We were just messing with you." I took a step back, avoiding her outstretched hand. Without a smile on my face, I turned to Justin and said, "But I'm not joking. Seriously, let's get a divorce." Justin, Chapter 02. Nicole stood between Justin and me, glancing at him, then at me, completely at a loss. Her acting had always been impeccable. If I hadn't died once already, if my wandering soul hadn't witnessed her kicking over my gravestone with a look of utter disgust, I might never have known. I might never have realized that beneath her cheerful, confident, and elegant facade lay a heart twisted with envy and hatred. It was rare to see her so flustered, although I wasn't the one who caused it. All the blame in the room, as if by default, was directed at me because of her. Lucas shoved his chair back violently and stormed over, his voice filled with irritation. "Fiona, don't go overboard. We said it was just a joke. Do you really have to make things so awkward? Can't you take a joke?" How interesting. They were the ones joking. I was the victim. And yet I was the one being blamed for not being able to take it. Lucas had always had a way of speaking that was sharp and unpleasant. I used to think it was just his personality, that he was like that with everyone, so I tolerated it. Later, I realized he was only like that with me, as Justin's wife. I had never truly been accepted by his friends. I ignored Lucas's barking completely, keeping my gaze fixed on Justin. When Justin saw that I wasn't backing down at all, he finally realized that I meant what I had said earlier. He laughed in anger, letting out a cold, mocking chuckle. Then, he grabbed Nicole's arm and yanked her into his embrace. He glared at me, his eyes sharp with a vengeful glint, and said, "Fine, you said it. Don't regret it. Go home, pack your things. Tomorrow we'll get the divorce papers." And with that, in front of everyone, he suddenly lowered his head and kissed Nicole on the lips. It was an aggressive, emotional kiss, full of possessiveness. From their lips meeting to the deepening, wet sounds of their entanglement, the atmosphere under the overhead lights seemed perfectly staged. Nicole's soft body arched backward under his force, her slender neck framed by his large, distinct fingers. It all looked like a scene straight out of a steamy drama. I watched as Nicole feigned resistance, pushing weakly against Justin's chest. But when her efforts failed, her hands naturally slid upward, wrapping around his neck. I heard someone gasp sharply, followed by the excited sounds of people taking out their phones to record. I was the closest to them, seeing every unspeakable detail in full clarity. I opened my trembling, pale lips, wanting to say something, but I didn't know what I could say. Somewhere deep inside me, something fragile was shaken. It felt like something precious I had hidden away. Something I had cherished deeply. Shattered silently the moment Justin disregarded me and kissed someone else. I shut my eyes tightly, forcing my expression into numb indifference. Without another word, I turned and walked out. Chapter 03. Outside. A soft drizzle had begun to fall. The world was shrouded in mist. The street lights dim and murky, their yellow glow barely cutting through the gloom. Tree branches along the roadside, cloaked in darkness, swayed and clawed in the cold wind. A couple stood nearby, murmuring softly to each other. The boy took off his jacket and wrapped it around the girl, and the two huddled close, disappearing together into the rain. I watched them climb into a car parked by the roadside. My expression was dazed, my thoughts elsewhere. It felt like I had forgotten something important. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't recall what it was. It wasn't until I returned home and began packing up my things in my room that I suddenly found a forgotten umbrella at the bottom of a box. The moment I saw it, my tears broke free, surging uncontrollably. It was a small, transparent folding umbrella. The inside was covered in my favorite cartoon designs, drawn with a black marker. I remembered one day after school when it started raining heavily. I was about to walk home with my friend, when I caught sight of my deskmate standing under the eaves, staring at the gray sky with a distant, forlorn expression. He must have forgotten to bring an umbrella. But then again, there was no one left at his home to bring him one. I felt a pang of softness in my heart. After a moment of hesitation, I shoved my umbrella into his hands. "Don't bother returning it. Just consider it thanks for helping me with those problems in class." Using a tone of feigned nonchalance, I hid the flurry of emotions in my heart as I handed over my favorite umbrella. I didn't even dare to look at his reaction, turning quickly to slip under my friend's umbrella and urging her to hurry. She teased me for my burning red cheeks, laughing at my obvious embarrassment. Angry and flustered, I playfully swatted at her, but I couldn't resist glancing back through the curtain of rain. The boy, dressed in a blue and white school uniform, stood tall and slender, striking against the crowd as he held my umbrella firmly in his hand. The rain fell around us, but all I could hear was the pounding of my heart. The next day, the rain continued to pour. I can't remember how I felt when I saw him again that day, but I vividly recall every detail of his movements as he walked in through the back door of the classroom. The transparent, cartoon-covered umbrella hadn't ended up abandoned in a corner of the hallway with the rest. It was in his pale, slender hands, its surface carefully dried with a soft handkerchief. He gently smoothed its creases, folded it neatly, and tucked it into his desk, placing it beside his books as though it were a treasure. 18-year-old Justin looked up and caught my gaze before I could look away. He smiled, his crescent-shaped eyes curving with warmth, and he said, "I'll cherish it forever." At that time, the thin veil of unspoken feelings between us remained unbroken, but in the pounding rhythm of two young, restrained hearts, we both understood. What he meant was, "I'll cherish you forever." The rain had stopped. I wiped away my tears, steadied my emotions, and picked up the umbrella, long forgotten by its owner. Its surface was yellowed with age, the cartoons faded beyond recognition, its rusted frame reeking of decay. I stared at it, sitting by my bed through the night as darkness gave way to dawn. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually, the blackness of the night yielded to the first rays of light breaking through the clouds, outlining my figure in stark contrast. I stretched my stiff, icy limbs, stood up, and tossed the old umbrella into the trash. Then, I dialed Justin's number. That summer rain from our youth was finally over. Chapter 04. The phone rang for a long time before someone finally picked up, but instead of Justin's voice, a lazy, drowsy female voice greeted me. "Hello? Who's this?" She yawned immediately after, but in the silence that followed, her act felt deliberate, almost theatrical. After a pause, Nicole's voice continued, softer this time, with a hint of embarrassment and apology. I grabbed the wrong phone. "Hold on. I'll wake Justin up." "There's no need," I interrupted her, calmly. I said, "Please let him know I've prepared all the paperwork. See him at the Civil Affairs office at 3 p.m. I didn't give her a chance to respond and hung up immediately. I hadn't eaten anything since last night, but the nausea that surged within me made the idea of food unbearable. Love, devotion, promises, what a joke. In the end, someone who's bound to betray you will always find an excuse to do so. I thought back to my past life, to when I accidentally discovered what was happening between them. The heartbreak had been so overwhelming that I nearly fainted on the spot. I lost all composure, raging like a madwoman as I demanded answers from both of them. Nicole's face had been apologetic, but her words insisted it was all a misunderstanding, an accident, pleading with me not to blame Justin. Justin, however, said nothing. He didn't defend himself, didn't explain. He just stood there silently, as though burdened by an unspeakable weight, as though he were the one suffering, the one enduring pain that couldn't be expressed. In the end, everyone took Justin's side. They claimed he had his reasons, that he hadn't meant to hurt me, and that I shouldn't blame him. They were the ones who had crossed the line. Yet somehow, I became the one in the wrong. Justin's calmness made me seem like a deranged fool. It made me doubt myself. Had I really gone too far? Was I truly overreacting, tarnishing the pure friendship between him and Nicole? Had I driven Justin to act impulsively, solidifying their already ambiguous relationship? In a daze, I eventually agreed to the divorce. But after Justin handed me the divorce agreement, his condition worsened. Lucas and the others, as though unable to tolerate me any longer, confronted me in anger. They accused me of pushing Justin to this point, claiming that everything he had done was a form of revenge, meant to free me from the burden of his illness. Justin and I had grown up together as deskmates, transitioning from school to marriage. With both of his parents gone, I was his only family. He knew I would never leave him, no matter what. So, he chose the most extreme way to drive me away. I had barely come to terms with the reality of his infidelity and falling out of love with me. And yet, Lucas and the others insisted that Justin had hurt me so deeply because he loved me too much. Justin could have lived for 2 more years, they said, but my drama and emotional outbursts had worsened his condition. It was all my fault. I couldn't out-argue all of them with just my one voice. In the end, my spirit completely shattered. After glancing one last time at Justin's unconscious form in the ICU, I had thrown myself off the hospital rooftop. Looking back now, I can't believe how foolish I was. Given another chance, I choose to let go of the past, to release myself from that pain. And so, I waited at the civil affairs office for hours, until even the staff had gone home for the day. Justin finally arrived, unhurried and indifferent, as if he had all the time in the world. Chapter 05. I wasn't feeling well. I only woke up half an hour ago. Before I could question him, Justin preemptively explained. His breathing was uneven, his long trench coat slightly disheveled, and the collar of his shirt rumpled. Even his hair was unkempt, sticking up as if he just crawled out of bed. He glanced at the closed doors of the civil affairs office and let out a long exhale. I couldn't tell if it was a sigh of frustration or relief. Then he turned to me with a cold expression. "Let's reschedule," he said flatly. There was nothing else to do. I told him to contact me when he had time, not wanting to waste another word. I turned to leave, but Justin suddenly called out, "When you called me this morning," and Nicole answered. "What did she say to you?" The probing tone in his question irritated me. The resentment that had been building in my chest erupted without warning. I turned back and snapped at him, my voice dripping with mockery. "Weren't the two of you sharing a bed? How could you not know what she said?" Justin paused. What surprised me was how his expression softened immediately, like a spring breeze melting frost. It was as if he just confirmed something and let out a genuine sigh of relief. For once, his tone was gentle as he explained. "You've misunderstood. I drank too much last night. She brought me home, and since I wasn't feeling well, she stayed to take care of me, that's all." His explanation was as absurd as it sounded, and given our current situation, I couldn't fathom why he felt the need to justify himself to me, but I soon realized why. Justin coughed abruptly, his face paling instantly, his handsome brows furrowed as if in pain, and he continued to cough several more times. I couldn't tell if he was faking or genuinely unwell. Either way, it had nothing to do with me. I turned on my heel to leave. Behind me, I heard hurried footsteps before Justin grabbed my arm. His face was pale, his jaw clenched tightly. Through gritted teeth, he hissed, "I told you I wasn't feeling well. Do you not care at all?" I knew he was sick, seriously ill, even. But so what? I pulled at my arm and frowned. Let go. Instead of letting go, Justin's grip tightened, his expression darkening further. He was the one who wanted a divorce. Now that I'd agreed, he seemed unhappy about it. Justin stared at me with a fierce, almost predatory gaze before abruptly releasing my arm with a sharp movement. He coughed violently again, his voice low and heavy. "Fine, go. I'll let you leave." His frustration simmered just beneath the surface, mixed with an indescribable sadness. I didn't hesitate. I walked away without looking back. But suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind me. Justin had collapsed. Panicked, I called an ambulance and rushed him to the hospital. After some hesitation, I called Nicole. After all, once we divorced, Justin would end up marrying her anyway. It seemed improper for a soon-to-be ex-wife to remain by his side. Nicole didn't say much after hearing the news and quickly arrived at the hospital. Lucas came with her. As I rose from the bench in the hallway, about to tell them Justin had been taken for emergency treatment, Nicole stormed over, her face cold. Before I could react, she raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. Stunned, I froze in place. Nicole's voice was colder than I'd ever heard it as she spat venomously. "You're nothing but a curse. Are you determined to kill him before you're satisfied?" Chapter 06. I touched the side of my face, which had gone numb from the slap, feeling the sharp ringing in my ears. Raising my head, I prepared to fight back. But Lucas, quick on his feet, stepped forward and shoved me hard, sending me sprawling to the ground. He positioned himself in front of Nicole, towering over me as he looked down with disdain. "Do you actually have the guts to fight back? Go ahead. Try it," he sneered. My hands pressed against the cold floor as I trembled with anger. Just then, the light above the emergency room turned off, and the doctor stepped out. Nicole immediately forgot about her argument with me and rushed forward. Lucas followed closely behind. As he passed me, however, he paused briefly. Then, his expensive Italian leather shoes crushed down on the back of my hand, which was braced on the floor. At nearly 6 feet tall and with a muscular build, he threw his full weight into the act. A sharp, excruciating pain shot through my hand, and I couldn't help but cry out, tears streaming uncontrollably down my face. I glared up at him, my eyes blazing with fury. Under the harsh hallway lights, his face blurred slightly, but the cruel smirk he wore was unmistakable. "Go ahead. Call the police if you dare," he taunted, his words dripping with malice. His voice felt like the hiss of a demon. In that moment, it was as though he dragged me back into the suffocating darkness of my previous life. To the time when I was relentlessly bullied under the guise of morality, my mind pushed to the brink of collapse. It was like having ice water poured over my head, chilling me to the bone. The fleeting thought of calling the police died instantly, reduced to ashes. I suddenly remembered. Lucas came from a powerful family. Reporting him to the police would be no different than calling him directly to complain about his own behavior. What could I expect beyond mockery and ridicule? In the past, he might have restrained himself out of respect for Justin, even when joking around with me. But now, with my relationship with Justin in shambles, Lucas no longer bothered to hide his contempt for me. I had never understood why he hated me so much, but now I knew. Lucas was nothing more than Nicole's lapdog. If Nicole loved Justin, Lucas worshipped Justin. If Nicole hated me, Lucas despised me to his core. I sat on the cold floor for a long time, waiting for the pain to subside and the feeling to return to my limbs. Only then did I stand up, without sparing a single glance back, and hurriedly left in disgrace. I called a moving company and packed up all my belongings. Leaving the bustling city center behind, I returned to the old house in the suburbs. When I pushed open the door, the TV was playing an old, drowsy opera drama. The house smelled damp and musty, steeped in the decay of time. An elderly woman in a wheelchair was dozing on the balcony. She stirred at the sound of the door, her wrinkled, sagging eyelids lifting slightly. Seeing me walk in with bags and luggage, She smirked as though she'd expected it all along. Well, what did I tell you? Thrown out like trash. Weren't you? She remarked, her tone a blend of mockery and smug satisfaction. Chapter 07. I ignored her entirely, silently continuing to pack my belongings. My mom straightened up in her wheelchair, trembling slightly as she put on her reading glasses. She didn't ask me anything or care about what had happened. Instead, she eagerly started pitching the idea of me meeting the neighbor's son downstairs. I told you before not to aim for something out of your reach. Why would someone rich like him even look at you? You've got no chest, no hips. And now look what's happened. You've been used for years and kicked out just like that. That Justin? I knew he wasn't a good person from the start. Lucky you didn't have kids with him. At least you can still remarry. I'll call your aunt and see if her son Pablo is home. Stop packing and go clean yourself up to meet him. She fiddled with her old flip phone, pressing each button one by one to find the number. I threw my clothes into the suitcase with a loud thud, unable to hold back anymore. What? Do you think I can't survive without a man? If you like Aunt's son so much, why don't you marry him? You keep pushing me to meet him, but does he sound like such a catch? Tell me, has he gotten out of jail yet? A guy who's been messing around outside and can't hold a proper job. This is who you're recommending? Am I even your daughter? My mom's face darkened instantly, her glare sharp enough to cut through me. You should be grateful he doesn't care that you're divorced. And you still dare to be picky? If you keep this up, no one will want you. What? Do you plan to burden me for the rest of my life? Her words stuck in my throat, choking me with frustration I couldn't swallow or spit out. There was no reasoning with her. She wouldn't listen to anything. Her old-fashioned, outdated beliefs had sunk into her very bones. Even her own child had to bend to them. I gave up on packing entirely, shoved everything into my room, and shut the door behind me. I won't burden you. I'll move out in a few days. The sound of her wheelchair rolling echoed outside, followed by loud banging on my door. She yelled angrily, scolding me, saying I'd grown wings and was defying her. You can't just move out without going on a blind date. Do you want to humiliate me in front of the neighbors? Do you want me to have no face left in this community? And what's so bad about Pablo? Don't listen to those rumors. I'm your mother. How could I harm you? I grabbed a pair of earplugs and shoved them into my ears. Then, I started looking for rental apartments on my phone. This house hadn't changed even a second longer and it felt suffocating. I thought, naively, that if I could just find a place to hide and wait until Justin woke up so we could finalize the divorce, my world would be peaceful again. But life never goes as planned. After another bout of nausea and vomiting in the bathroom, I stood holding a pregnancy test, staring blankly at the two red lines. Chapter 08. In my previous life, around the same time, Justin and I were constantly fighting. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown, paranoid every day about him and Nicole. I didn't even notice the abnormal changes in my body. In this life, in just a few days, Justin and I had already agreed to divorce, and his illness had worsened ahead of time, sending him to the hospital. This time, I didn't stay by his side. I left immediately. This meant Nicole and her entourage didn't get the chance to corner me with the revelation of Justin's cancer and guilt-trip me into submission. And because of that, I discovered by accident that I was pregnant, which means, when I died in my previous life, I had been carrying a child. 2 lives lost. I pressed my forehead against the mirror above the sink, closing my eyes to contain the indescribable grief and pain swelling within me. But when I opened them again, my lips tightened, pale yet resolute. As I stared at my reflection, I knew this child couldn't stay. It had come at the worst possible time. With everything happening between Justin, Nicole, and me, I didn't have the capacity to care for it. I placed a hand over my abdomen, a plan forming in my mind. Even if Justin and I were at odds, years of love and shared memories wouldn't be so easily forgotten. As long as he still cared, the existence of this child, however fleeting, could be a powerful tool. I exhaled deeply, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, I said to the baby. The next morning, I tiptoed out of my room, planning to slip out unnoticed. But I didn't expect my mother to be up so early. She was sitting in her usual spot on the small balcony. The faint morning light made it hard to read her expression, Her voice, low and ghostly, floated out. "Where are you off to so early? Going to meet some man?" Her words grated on me. I retorted, "Well, it's definitely not the one you keep suggesting." To my surprise, she didn't argue back this time. Instead, she said softly, "I already asked around. He'll be back in a few days. You should meet him." Clack. I slammed the door shut. Whatever else she had to say was likely the same old spiel. I had no patience for it. I arrived at the hospital where Justin was staying but didn't go directly to his room. Instead, I stayed in the shadows, observing. Justin was awake for an entire day. Nicole stayed by his side. Lucas, on the other hand, couldn't sit still in the room for long. Every so often, he would storm out to the stairwell to smoke, frustration evident in his demeanor. Yet he couldn't bear to leave entirely. Instead, he tortured himself repeatedly, watching his crush tenderly care for his best friend. This was when I decided to make my move. Step by step, I descended the stairs, hearing my footsteps. Lucas looked up, frowning as soon as he saw me. "What are you doing here?" he growled, exhaling smoke. "Didn't you learn your lesson last time?" I smiled at him, an icy expression. "Tell me, Lucas, how does a rich girl like Nicole end up being so cheap, willingly playing the mistress?" His face changed instantly, pointing a finger at me. He spat. "Watch your mouth." I raised an eyebrow, taking a step closer. "I've changed my mind," I said calmly. "I'm not divorcing Justin anymore. That way, she'll never have the chance to replace me. But, honestly, someone as loose as her is a perfect match for you, a shameless lapdog." Lucas cursed under his breath, veins bulging on his forehead. He shoved me hard, a reflex, and as he raised his hand, ready to strike again, I deliberately misstepped, falling backward. I tumbled down the stairs. Lucas froze, watching from the top as I curled up, clutching my abdomen. "My baby," I murmured, my voice trembling, my face pale. Lucas's fingers twitched violently, the cigarette slipping from his hand. His expression shifted to one of sheer panic. Chapter 09. Despite receiving prompt medical attention, the baby could not be saved. This was inevitable. After all, I had taken abortion pills beforehand, just in case. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was Justin, sitting by my side in a hospital gown, his bloodshot eyes fixed on me. The moment he saw me wake up, he straightened up and reached out, intending to hold my hand, but halfway through, his hand faltered and dropped helplessly to his side. His eyes glistened with tears as he said in a hoarse voice, "The baby is gone. We had always wanted a child of our own." Justin had prepared for it early on, cutting back on work-related social events, quitting smoking and drinking, and undergoing regular checkups. It was during one of these checkups that his condition was discovered. I put on a mask of shock and sorrow, letting tears slip down my cheeks as I looked into his eyes. Then I turned my gaze toward the corner of the room, where Lucas stood silently, his head lowered. With great effort, I lifted a trembling hand and pointed at him, my voice breaking with sobs and anger. It was him. He pushed me down the stairs. The sudden accusation left everyone stunned and scrambling for words. Justin, hearing the truth about the baby for the first time, turned to Lucas in disbelief. Lucas opened his mouth as if to explain, but no words came out. No matter how sharp my words had been, the fact remained that he had laid hands on me. In the next moment, Justin shot to his feet and punched Lucas hard, his fist glancing off his head. He grabbed Lucas by the collar, his face twisted with rage, and yelled, "Are you insane? She's my wife. That was my child." The two of them started fighting, with Justin landing blow after blow. Lucas didn't dare fight back, taking each hit without resistance. It wasn't until Nicole intervened, trying to break them apart, that Justin shoved her away in his fury. That was when Lucas finally snapped. He retaliated, shoving Justin aside, and shouted, "What about Nicole? What do you take her for?" The air in the hospital room turned heavy and suffocating. Justin glanced at me, lying weakly in the hospital bed, grieving the loss of our child. Taking a deep breath, he straightened up and suppressed his anger. He coughed softly and adjusted his tone. I've only ever seen Nicole as a friend," he said firmly. His words hit Nicole like a blow. She froze, stepping back in disbelief, her face a mask of disappointment and pain. Lucas cursed under his breath, pushing Justin aside, and pulled Nicole out of the room. Justin called for the nurse, requesting another bed to be placed beside mine so he could stay close and keep watch over me. It felt as though we were back to the beginning. The barbs, the cold sarcasm, and the pain he had inflicted all seemed to fade, revealing the tender love that had always been underneath. Justin held my cold hand gently, stroking it as he whispered, "Even if it was Lucas, he hurt you. I'll make him pay for what he did to you and to our child." Hearing his words, my heart wavered ever so slightly, but just as my emotions began to soften, I suddenly heard a strange mechanical voice. "Condition change detected. Mission time frame shortened. Host must complete the task of winning over the beloved first wife within 1 month. If the beloved first wife does not willingly sacrifice herself within 1 month, the mission will fail, and the host will lose the protagonist's halo, remaining in this world forever." Justin, who had been gently comforting me with his touch, froze mid-motion. I, too, was left in stunned silence. Chapter 10. Conditions changed. Justin murmured softly, as if speaking to himself. He seemed puzzled for a moment, but then, as sharp as ever, he caught the odd expression on my face. Raising his eyes, he fixed me with a deep, probing gaze. He smiled, his tone warm and gentle. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" That sweetheart felt unsettling, considering the strange voice I had heard earlier. It was impossible not to feel a rising sense of caution. I pulled my hand out of his grasp and met his curious gaze head-on. After hesitating briefly, I lowered my eyes and murmured, "I'm tired. I want to rest for a while." Justin studied me for another moment. Seeing my genuinely fatigued demeanor, he finally relented. Gently, he tucked the blanket around me and carefully drew the curtain shut. From that day on, Justin moved into my hospital room. Despite being a patient himself, he insisted on personally taking care of me. Several times, nurses tried to talk to me, wanting to tell me something about his condition, but Justin always intercepted them. He was clearly hiding something, and his attentiveness felt almost excessive. It was as though the man who had once kissed Nicole in front of me and told me not to regret agreeing to divorce wasn't the same Justin now fussing over me. If I hadn't known something was wrong, I might have thought I was losing my grip on reality. I chose to remain cautious, keeping my interactions with him neutral and measured. Finally, one night, I found the answers I was seeking. In the dead of night, when all was silent and still, Justin thought I was asleep. He got up and stepped onto the balcony for a cigarette. That strange voice came again. Justin was talking to it, his tone slightly irritable. He asked, "System, what's Fiona's current affection level for me?" The system responded, 61. Justin clicked his tongue loudly in frustration. No wonder she's been acting like a completely different person since I mentioned divorce. I must have moved too fast. There was a pause. In a quieter voice, he muttered, "That idiot Lucas, who knows what he did behind my back to push her this far. She's even willing to give up our child just to use me for revenge." My heart clenched. So, he'd pieced it all together. The system interrupted suddenly. "Host, there are only 25 days left for the mission." Justin stubbed out his cigarette, his tone cold. "I know. Stop nagging me." He began to head back into the room. The room was so silent that only the sound of his footsteps echoed in the dark. Yet his voice rang as clearly as if it were right beside me. "The heroine and the supporting male lead are both useless. I have no choice but to take matters into my own hands. I've built a completely sealed underground room at home. I have plenty of ways to make her willingly die for me. Oh, and if she's too afraid of the pain to take her own life, if I kill her myself, does it still count as completing the mission?" The sound of the blanket being pulled aside reached my ears. The mattress dipped under his weight with a faint creak. The system's voice echoed again, this time so close it felt like it was inside my head. "It counts." Chapter 11. Justin had taken my phone, claiming it was for my rest and recovery. He hadn't let me touch it since. The next day, my phone suddenly chimed with a message notification. Justin, who had been peeling fruit, glanced at the phone, picking it up. He looked at the screen briefly before raising his head, his lips curling into a faint, unreadable smile. "Darling, who's Pablo?" he asked casually. "And why is he asking to meet you? You've never mentioned him before." A chill ran down my spine. I fought to keep my expression neutral, extending my hand toward him with feigned calmness. "He's my cousin," I explained smoothly. "He's on decent terms with my family, but he moved away a few years ago, so I didn't think to mention him. He's probably back visiting my mom." Justin listened, his eyes scanning me carefully, but he didn't seem suspicious. He knew my complicated relationship with my mother and was fully aware of how traditional and prideful she was. If I ignored a family member's message, she would surely call me herself and start berating me in the most vile language imaginable. She'd done that to Justin once, and the memory was enough to make him wary of her. Without pressing further, he handed the phone back to me. I quickly checked the messages. "Pablo, where are you?" "Pablo, address." "Pablo, come quickly." Taking advantage of Justin stepping away to wash his hands, I swiftly sent 2 addresses to Pablo, one for the hospital and the other for Justin's house. "Pablo? Me, help me." Once I saw the read confirmation, I immediately deleted those 3 messages. To cover my tracks, I sent a string of unrelated texts, complaining about a fight with my mom and how I didn't want to go home or bother meeting him, telling him to do his own thing. It read like the banter of siblings. Pablo's response, as expected, hadn't changed since we were kids. "Pablo? Pablo, are you sick in the head?" I didn't reply further because a pale, slender hand reached over and plucked the phone from my grasp. Justin scanned the conversation history, his lips curling into a soft chuckle, but instead of returning the phone, he powered it off and set it aside. "All right," he said lightly. "You've said what you needed to. Now rest for a while. The driver will pick us up later to take us home." My fingers clenched tightly under the blanket. I forced my voice to remain calm as I asked, "So, your illness is cured?" Justin's smile was ambiguous. "I can recover just fine at home." It wasn't a suggestion, it was a declaration. Time was running out. If I left the hospital and went to his house, escaping would become nearly impossible. The moment Justin left the room, I seized the opportunity. Throwing off the blanket, I slipped out of bed and bolted for the door. What I didn't expect was that Justin hadn't actually left. The moment I opened the door, I crashed directly into his chest. He grabbed my wrist with a vice-like grip, his eyes cold and calculating. With a chilling smirk, he said, "So, you really can hear the system's voice." Chapter 12. An hour later, I found myself locked inside Justin's meticulously designed underground cage. Thinking about my current situation, my only hope rested on a neighborly big brother I hadn't seen in years. It was bleak. Could Pablo even read some of the uncommon words in the address I sent him? In hindsight, I should have gone for broke and called the police the moment I had the phone. As far as I remembered, Pablo had always been the definition of trouble. 5 years older than me, he was already skipping school and getting into fights while I was still carrying a backpack and attending elementary school. Because our mothers were close, Pablo looked out for me back then. Once, when some local thugs took my allowance, Pablo grabbed a bat and chased them for 2 miles. Not only did he get my money back, but he also spent it all on candy for me. Later, I got into a prestigious high school and met Justin, while Pablo dropped out after failing his exams and started working odd jobs. We lost contact. The snippets I occasionally heard about him were all bad, bullying girls, getting them pregnant, gambling, asking his family for money, getting into trouble, and even going to jail. The image of the hot-headed but protective older brother from my childhood faded over time. Even when my mom suggested I date him, my first reaction was disgust. How could I possibly pin my hopes of escape on him? I shifted slightly, and the chains attached to the headboard clinked ominously. The sound echoed endlessly in the dimly lit, suffocating basement. Before the echo faded, footsteps sounded from the room's only exit. Justin had changed into loungewear, a soft beige sweater and gray pants that accentuated his figure like sculpted marble. A faint smile played on his lips, his loose bangs softening his sharp features, making him appear harmless. But this man wanted to kill me. He pulled over the only chair in the room, sitting by the side of my bed. He placed something on me. It was something he'd dug out of my bag. The divorce papers. My signature was already on them. Justin gazed at me, his expression tinged with sadness, yet he kept smiling as he said, "You're stubborn and hot-tempered. Before I saw these papers, I thought your agreement to divorce was just you being angry. Why, though? My love, are you really willing to let me go?" Listening to him, I couldn't help but laugh, bitter and incredulous. It was as if I were meeting a completely different person. I fixed my gaze on him and enunciated every word. "You're planning to kill me. And you're asking if I'd miss you?" Justin's expression didn't waver. He even attempted to explain. "You heard it yourself. This is a mission I must complete. But when it's all done, I'll earn the chance to save a life." His eyes locked onto mine as he made his promise. "I won't let you die. Even if Nicole is the heroine of this world, the only one I love is you." "You don't believe me?" It wasn't disbelief. It was outright rejection of everything he said. Did he still think I was a gullible teenager easily swayed by sweet words? Justin sighed, a tinge of regret in his voice. "I truly love you," he said softly, "but if you insist on opposing me, I'll have no choice but to use harsher methods to achieve my goal." Chapter 13. From that day on, Justin suddenly disappeared. The sound of footsteps echoed on the stairs again. A familiar man slowly walked in. It was Lucas. His eyes were vacant, unable to focus, and his movements were stiff, as if controlled by someone else. But the way he held the knife and meticulously slashed my skin, inch by inch, was horrifyingly skilled. While I screamed in pain, curled up in the corner, trembling with fear and trying to evade him, I suddenly understood Justin's plan. Using that system, he identified the person I despised and feared the most, Lucas. So, he sent Lucas to torment me, just like in my past life, breaking me down until I was mentally shattered. Even if I knew deep down that Justin was the mastermind, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from begging for his appearance, hoping he'd come to save me. Justin understood me too well. We had been classmates for 3 years, dated for 7, and married right after graduating college. To put it bluntly, he knew me so intimately he could have counted every strand of hair on my head, every tiny gesture I made. He understood exactly what I was thinking. Together, Justin and Lucas took turns breaking me, Justin playing the good guy, Lucas the bad. Justin never appeared in person, but each time I woke up after being tortured, I would find something of his in the room, a small object that carried memories of our past together. It was as if he was forcing me, in my moments of pain, to recall the sweetness of what we once had. This time, when I opened my eyes again, Lucas was gone. Instead, there was a cute doll on the bedside table, and a note, with his clean, sharp handwriting. "Let's have another baby, okay?" Crimson blood seeped from my arm, soaking the foul-smelling, tattered bedsheets beneath me. My hair was a tangled mess, my eyes red and swollen as I stared at the note and that mocking smiley face. The last thread of sanity in my mind snapped with a deafening crack. Ayaha! Bang! The door above burst open with a heavy kick. Someone bounded down the stairs in just a few large strides. "Sis!" The scream froze in my throat. I stared blankly at a tall, muscular man in black leather and combat boots. His close-cropped hair and sharp, rugged features gave him an air of danger. But there was a fierce determination in his gaze as he entered the filthy, dark basement. He froze momentarily upon seeing me in my current state. Then he gritted his teeth, carefully took off his jacket to wrap it around me, and said in a controlled, yet furious tone, "Don't be afraid. I'm taking you out of here." Click. The sound of a gun cocking came from behind him. Standing at the top of the stairs, Justin pointed a pistol at Pablo's head, his face devoid of emotion. Pablo paused for a second but didn't stop, holding me securely in his arms. He turned to face Justin, fearless in his defiance. He locked eyes with Justin and said in a low, commanding voice, "Do you think I came here alone? I'll say this once, move." Justin didn't budge, though he knew his actions had been exposed. He showed no fear or hesitation. He smirked coldly. "She's my lawful wife. Whatever happens between us, even if the police come, it won't matter. No one can take her away from me." Pablo was stunned by Justin's shamelessness. His grip on me tightened slightly as he bit out angrily. Asterisk whatever happens? Look at her. Look what you've done to her. This isn't whatever happens. The tension in the room was palpable. Justin refused to yield even an inch. Pablo swallowed his rage, his voice sharp and icy as he delivered a revelation that hit like a bolt of lightning. If you still consider her your wife, then let us go. Her mother, she's dying. At least let them see each other one last time. Chapter 14. Speaking of my mom, she always cared about how the neighbors viewed us. But in reality, aside from Pablo's mother downstairs, she didn't really have any friends. She was sharp-tongued, loved to scold people, and her face, weathered with years of hardship, was constantly downcast with a bitterness that seemed etched into her features. She liked to complain to anyone who'd listen. As a result, no one enjoyed spending time with her. But according to the older generation, she wasn't always like this. When she was younger, she was cheerful, lively, and could make friends anywhere she went. Unfortunately, she had poor judgment and ended up with the worst kind of man. That's when everything changed. It was that man who crippled my mother's leg. What were once strong legs, capable of walking miles on foot, became shaky and weak, struggling even with a single flight of stairs. She tried to fight back, but the result was always worse beatings, until she eventually didn't dare to resist anymore. When I was in middle school, at the height of my rebellious phase, I saw her crying in her room every day. In a fit of frustration, I told her, "Why don't you just divorce him?" Her response? She slapped me across the face. What did she say? She said, "No matter what, he's your father." I was angry and heartbroken, thinking they were both willing participants in their toxic dynamic. Why did I even bother trying to intervene? But I never would have imagined that a woman as futile, ignorant, and spineless as my mom would one day have the courage to kill someone. And not just anyone, she killed the man she often lectured me about, saying he was the head of our household, my father. The police came quickly. The alleys were packed with onlookers. But my mom wasn't sent to prison. She had a history of mental illness. Even I was shocked. I watched her pull out a stack of medical diagnoses, each page stamped with the seals of major hospitals in the province. The police exchanged puzzled glances, but my mom remained unnervingly calm. Only I stared at the dates on those documents, frozen in place for what felt like an eternity. From that day on, the neighbors avoided us like the plague. They whispered that it had to be because my mom had been unfaithful and was caught by my dad, which is why she lashed out in a fit of rage. Otherwise, why would she endure years of abuse and only resist so violently this one time? They were both scared of her and contemptuous of her, calling her a ticking time bomb. They filed complaints with the local community office, demanding that she move out as soon as possible. But my mom ignored them. She rarely left the house after that. Everyone directed their malice and scorn at her, but I knew the truth. She was protecting me. A month before the incident, I had been sexually assaulted by my biological father. He nearly forced himself on me when my mom came home and caught him in the act. She flew into a rage, like a lioness defending her cub, and attacked him, but the difference in their physical strength was too great. In the end, that beast beat my mom badly, then fled in a panic, leaving the two of us huddled together on the floor, crying. I don't know what decision she made that night. All I know is that the next day, she knocked on Pablo's family's door and asked his mother to look after me for a while. She didn't hide the truth from her. Pablo's mother was both heartbroken and furious, and she immediately agreed to help. Not only that, she called Pablo over and told him to escort me to and from school every day and to follow me whenever I left the house. But she didn't tell Pablo the reason. She said the secret would stay between the three of us. No one else, not even her own son, could know. Fortunately, Pablo was obedient and didn't ask too many questions. For that month, he even stopped hanging out with his gang and faithfully followed me around like a shadow. After a month of relative peace, I stood in the middle of a crowd, dazed, as the police came to take my mom away. She was covered in blood, but her expression was calm, almost joyful. She didn't lower her head but walked with dignity as the police escorted her out, her eyes scanning the crowd. Finally, her gaze landed on me. I saw her lips move slightly. Her voice overlapped with the memory of the day I stormed out of the house. Impatient to listen to her speak, she said, "No matter what, Mom would never harm you." Chapter 15. In the end, I never got to see her one last time, and she didn't leave me any parting words. All she left behind was a property deed and a bank card containing the savings she had accumulated over her entire life. These items sat quietly and sparsely on the coffee table in the living room, as if to tell me, "This is all I can leave you. From now on, take care of yourself." It felt as if my soul had been ripped from my body. I wandered in a daze, unable to feel sadness, but the tears kept falling, endlessly, until I had no strength left. I collapsed beside her wheelchair and passed out. The funeral was organized by Pablo and his mother. To be precise, Pablo handled everything himself, because if Pablo's mother hadn't held me back, I might have crawled into my mother's coffin to be buried with her. Warning! Task time remaining, 1 day. Host, please complete the task immediately, or the mission will be deemed a failure. I suddenly turned my head. Justin was standing not far behind me, silently watching. In his hand was a silver gun. The sky was overcast, the damp wind tugging at the hem of his black coat. A white rose pinned to his chest pocket seemed to mourn someone. I stared at him numbly for a long time. His face grew paler, his gaze full of sorrow and guilt. His lips trembled as he whispered, "I'm sorry." And then, he raised his arm, pointing the black barrel of the gun at me. But then, a muffled bang. Justin fell to the ground, the gun slipping from his hand and rolling into the low bushes. The gun was picked up by another hand, large, broad, and strong, with defined knuckles. Pablo stood there holding the gun in one hand, the other clutching a shovel still caked with fresh dirt. He grumbled, "What is this? A TV drama? Did you two really think no one else was around?" Grumbling and muttering under his breath, he dialed the police, one foot pressing down on the unconscious Justin. The absurdity of the scene almost made me laugh. I tugged at the corners of my lips, turned back around, and continued burning spirit money in the fire pit. A gentle breeze swept through, and the flames in the pit suddenly flared up, swirling into a brilliant vortex of firelight. 1 circle, 2 circles, lingering as if reluctant to leave. Finally, the wind carried the ashes of the burned money away, far into the distance. When that day ended and night gave way to day, I thought I heard the system announce Justin's mission failure. The divorce proceedings between Justin and me progressed smoothly, with Pablo's testimony and the undeniable evidence from the basement. Justin was charged with attempted murder and spousal abuse. At the same time, his company declared bankruptcy. All his assets were frozen, and his illegal possession of firearms led to additional charges. It seemed as if his protagonist halo had truly disappeared. This time, Nicole ignored his pleas for help. Lucas didn't just refuse to assist him, he actively pushed him further into the abyss, submitting evidence of Justin's financial crimes to the court. In the blink of an eye, Justin fell from a celebrated golden boy to a despised corporate villain. I sat in the courtroom, watching him go from dazed disbelief to tearfully begging for mercy when the verdict was announced, and I realized, without the so-called protagonist halo, Justin was nothing more than a pitiful wreck of a man. With the accumulation of charges, he was sentenced to death by firing squad. Before his execution, he desperately begged to see me one last time, curious about his final words. I went to see him. When he saw me, it was as if he had seen a lifeline. His eyes lit up instantly. At that moment, he was unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes. Looking almost deranged, he pleaded frantically, "There's still a chance. I still have a chance. Wife, please help me. The system is willing to give me another chance. You just have to help me. Listen to me. I've completed so many missions in other worlds. I've been an emperor, even a god. If you help me, I can take you to any world I've conquered. You'll live a life of luxury. Don't you love me? Please, help me, okay?" I had always been wary of the mysterious system. Cautiously, I asked, "What do you need me to do?" Justin leaned forward urgently. "I've lost my protagonist halo. You just need to find this world's new protagonist. Seduce him, bring him to me, and I'll have a way to steal his luck. It was truly astonishing. Without his facade, Justin's shamelessness had reached unimaginable heights. I let out a cold laugh, stood up, and left. Justin climbed onto the barred window, trying to grab me, but the guards pushed him back down. He screamed after me, "Wife! Fiona! Didn't you say you'd always stay by my side?" My footsteps paused for a moment, but only for a moment. Then, I continued walking, never looking back. Justin, seeing this, completely collapsed. He slumped to the ground, muttering, "It's not fair. This isn't fair. The system lied to me. Didn't it say this was an easy mission? Why is this happening? How could anyone willingly die for someone else? It's all a lie. I want to complain. Give me another chance. I want to start over." His broken voice grew more distant, as if the dark and painful life I had lived in my past was nothing more than a distant dream. When I woke from the dream, the morning light was bright and clear. Justin would never know. I had once willingly died for him, but he didn't deserve it. Chapter 16. By the roadside. I stared at the luxurious car in front of me, clearly worth 8 figures. I looked at the car, then at the window, where a long, muscular arm hung lazily behind a pair of black sunglasses. Pablo was pretending to look cool, with a complicated tone. I asked him, "Did you rob a bank or join the mafia?" Pablo twitched the corner of his mouth, removed his sunglasses, and gave me an exasperated look. "Is there poison in your mouth? Why are you always so sharp-tongued? Can't you believe I earned it myself?" He opened the car door, stepping out with a long, confident leg. Then he walked to my side, pretending to be a gentleman, and opened the passenger door for me. I got into the car, buckled my seatbelt, and looked at him suspiciously, disbelief written all over my face. Pablo sighed, clearly out of patience. "Don't underestimate your brother. I may not have been a scholar, but I've worked hard and built a business over the years. All right? Business?" I was stunned, and without thinking, blurted out, "Wait, weren't you in prison?" A sharp screech. Pablo jerked the wheel, making a flawless drift before bringing the car to a halt by the curb. He didn't say anything at first. He took a deep breath, collecting himself. Then he turned to me, his face expressionless. "Who told you that? And why did you believe it?" Well, feeling guilty, I avoided his gaze, trying to recall where the rumor had started. And then it hit me. Pablo seemed to understand too. He looked both amused and annoyed but couldn't bring himself to truly scold me. With a finger, he tapped my forehead lightly, frustrated. "You seriously believed that old fool? Did you forget that years ago? He was after my mom, got rejected, and has been spreading lies about our family ever since. What were you thinking?" I realized my mistake and felt so embarrassed I couldn't even lift my head. Thinking back, even I couldn't believe myself. Pablo had protected me when I was younger. How had I ended up distancing myself from them and even believing such baseless rumors? While my thoughts were in chaos, my phone suddenly rang. It was Lucas. My brows furrowed instantly. Why was he calling me? What did he want now? Before I could react, Pablo reached over and immediately hung up the call. He restarted the car, his tone steady and reassuring. "Don't worry about him. I've already got people dealing with him. With Justin in jail, Lucas won't get away either. With me around, let's see who dares to mess with you again." Those words, spoken in the quiet car, were like a small flame that ignited warmth in my heart. I felt touched and turned to thank him. That's when I noticed his slightly reddened ears. Pablo coughed lightly, trying to cover his awkwardness. Then, with a bit of discomfort, he said, "My mom told me you agreed to our blind date. So, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? Mom cooked all your favorite dishes." I turned my face toward the window, watching the scenery and passers-by, trying to suppress the smile tugging at the corners of my lips. I imitated his fake cough and said with a smile, "Sure, I'll come."